First, let's get to our panel. Dileepa Fonseka, a Business Desk senior reporter at the desk this morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Along with Josie Pagani, Child Fund New Zealand Chief Executive. Morning, Josie.
Morning.
Good to see you both. Well, actually, we'll start with our young diver here who, oh man, did you have a hard time watching that?
Oh, as a mother, yeah, I worry. My kids are in their 20s. I phone them up to say, look both ways when you cross the road. The idea that they jump off a cliff, I mean, you know, they're idiots anyway, but it's just terrifying.
Fascinating what he was saying about basically planning a week ahead, like committing to the dive a week ahead so that he didn't hesitate when he's on the top of the cliff.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing with these things is you often forget the amount of preparation. I mean, yeah, he did the, 40 metres?
Yes.
The 40 metre, but, you know, before that he would have had to do like a whole bunch of probably 30 metre, you know, things leading up to it. So, you know, as much as, and I don't know how much more, you know, the extra danger factor would have been for this last one compared to, you know, all the practices he probably did, you know?
That's true.
There's some crazy Guinness records, right? I was looking at them today, and they're all things like, it's like the 7 sins, you know, the gluttony, eating hot dogs on Coney Island, breaking a Guinness record. There was one about the most pins in your body. Like, why would people, or the most tattoos in 24 hours? That was another one. Oh. It's kind of weird. The longest beard.
Oh, I was going to say I'd eat the food, but the beard one probably sounds the easiest.
Would you really eat like hundreds of Coney sausages?
I'd rather eat 100
dogs?
Coney sausages than have pins in my body or jump off a cliff.
True. It's a bit like would I rather be deaf or blind? It's sort of one of those things. I don't want to do any of it.
Everybody's got their limit that they feel that they have the perfect genetic ability to be able to push, and obviously diving is not any one of the three of ours.
No, we've got other skills.
It's hard enough off the side of a pool, let alone off a cliff. Hey, we've had a big announcement from Defence Minister Judith Collins, and Winston Peters was there yesterday too. This is $2.7 billion going towards 5 new Sea Sprites, 2 new Airbuses. That 757s need replacing. Dileepa, what did you make of that announcement?
I mean, it's good. We all know that defence spending is, that we need to spend more on defence. But I think what that announcement shows is, you know, it's easy to spend, it's actually quite easy to spend $2.7 billion, and it may even be easy to spend $9 billion over 4 years. But the question is that we'll have to reckon with is how we're spending the money. Are we getting the value? Because I think some of the SH2 sort of Sea Sprites, when they were taken out of the US Navy in 2001. But they're kind of new to us because we took them in 2015, kind of refurbished and things. But soon afterwards, we discovered, what happens when you take an old, kind of aging helicopter is it might be fine to fly, but you still need the parts. So we had 8 of them. I think we took 3 of them out for parts. So we had 5. And I think that can show you how procurement can sort of be problematic because effectively, what is it? This will be like 11 years of use.
Yes.
And they're already, really, really aging. And so actually we've got to be very careful. I think we've got to look for value for money as well. And we've got to properly weigh this up because it's actually possible to spend a lot of money on this stuff.
And not get much.
Exactly.
And then have to keep paying for the maintenance too.
Yeah.
Gosh, you've got echoes of the Inter-Island Ferry. But I mean, you're right. We do need to spend more on defence, and this is something that, the 12 million that the government announced is the right thing to do. I think strategically, have we made a decision as to whether or not we're focused on our own security, i.e. keeping ourselves safe, or are we planning to be part of some coordinated collective defence of, rules of the law and rules of law and democracy and so on. And I think that's a really strategic decision because we may be saying, we're looking after our own defence, but that's not what we've done in the past. We didn't do that in the Second World War. We were part of a defence against fascism, right? So I wonder whether we've really thought about either how we fit into that and which side we'd be on, or whether we're looking at just our own defence, in which case, we're a small country. I mean, it's interesting that they're trying to align, I think, with what Australia's spending on, where they're putting their defence spending. But I do think that's a strategic question. The other issue is, we've got to make sure we spend that defence money not by cutting things like aid. And I say that not just as someone who works in the aid sector, but the biggest defenders of aid budgets in the US are the US Defence Force, because they know that if you have multiple fragile states where you're getting, Al-Qaeda being hosted in places like Afghanistan, they're saying, look, we've got about 11 Afghanistans emerging right now.
Yeah.
So aid is part of preventing that.
They always say what you don't spend on aid, you end up spending on defence.
Exactly.
Just to finish this morning, cars and car parks. I don't know, there was a piece in the Spin-Off about this a couple of days, or about a week ago, which I read, and yesterday I noticed this poor pregnant lady getting out of her car, and she had a handbag. She's obviously pregnant, she had a handbag, and the car parks are, well, we think the car parks are getting smaller, but actually the cars are getting bigger. And she's trying to get out of the car, and she's using her handbag as like a shield for her belly just to get out of the car. This idea that cars are getting bigger, but actually the car parks aren't really accommodating that anymore. Do you notice this? Is this a thing?
Well, very well might be the thing. I mean, I actually noticed it a little bit, but I think what it just goes to show is actually urban land space is always at a premium and it's always rising. And so, I think in 2011, the price of kind of central Auckland land was something like $700 or $800 per square metre, and by 2018 it's I think something like $3,000 per square metre. And so if you're owning a car park and you can move that line a little bit in and squeeze in a few extra car parks, that's a few extra thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars.
You know what
extra,
it is? It's like chocolate bars. It's just, they have got, I reckon they have got slightly smaller, but then it does depend on what car you drive. But there's a bigger story there, I reckon, Ryan, which is this sort of, the anti-car drive.
Yes.
So it's like actually getting rid of entire car parks, not just making them smaller or cars bigger. So there is that kind of urban miserabilism that, we shouldn't be doing things that are modern. And, someone who comes from the left of politics, I think I missed that memo when cars and roads and, building things became right-wing, and a sort of return to the Middle Ages and horse and carts became left-wing. It's like I missed that.
One day, we were talking robo-taxis earlier actually with Garth Bray, but one day we probably won't even need to park, will we? We can just jump in a robo-taxi and get taken where we need to go.
Or just put our VR mask on and just pretend we're somewhere, Our lives will be so much better not.
I mean, we've got Uber, that didn't exist as a...
True.
And that's kind of, it's not robots driving it, but, you can get picked up from any curb now instead of going to a taxi stand.
Are you a small car guy or a big car guy?
Well, I aspire to be a big car guy, but probably the salary's probably more a small car guy. Yeah.